Here's what's happening. GM is leaving their headquarters from about 1996 to 2001. The last of their employers are leaving from across the street, and there are about 25 auto production facilities just within walking distance of us during that time. All that is gone. Now there's only one left, which is Milwaukee Stamping. They've been around for about 100 years. We start to see real estate values drop. This building sells for about $30 million in 2001. And then, just in a few years, we see how quickly things change. The building goes into foreclosure. The winning auction is $12 million. If you put it in New York or Chicago, it can easily fetch $250 million. And there are homes that you can buy for $12 million, and they will not be 1.1 million square foot Art Deco skyscrapers. And it's bought by the platform that's based here. It's run by Peter Cummings, who is a son-in-law of Max M. Fisher. So, in the end, it comes full circle. People say that Detroit is dead or dying, but here is a story of rebirth. The Fisher Building fell into disuse, but people with a sense of history, of preservation, they kept this place alive, and the city. Our jewel of architecture, part of Detroit's inheritance. Class and elegance, in the end, it doesn't matter how old things are, always have value. I started working out in 1964, working for Remington, and I repaired adding machines and calculators. And after about 8 years, they closed up, and I became a dealer for 20 years. And then I went out to work for a computer company, but they went out of business, so I went back into selling and took over Jones Typewriters into Pear. We lost our lease out there, so we moved out to Maplewood, Missouri, and joined forces with Martin Office Machines. And that's where we are now. You have to be one of the last typewriter stores in the area. One of the few that still has an office where people can come in and get ribbons. Most of the other ones have all lost their service technicians. Not a big profit in the ribbons, so they gave up. What's your process like when you get a typewriter to repair? It's diagnostic. First, you gotta know what the problem is. It takes a little mechanical ability to know what is or is not working. Most of the time, a machine is not broken. It just needs to be adjusted. What's the hardest typewriter you've ever had to repair? Probably a Hammond. We had 2 of them with broken frames. The parts were not available, so we had to machine them in shop. Do you think there will be a time when typewriters don't exist? No. I think there's just too many of them out there. These old manuals, they don't break. They just need adjustment. People are going to keep passing them on. But will there be someone around to fix them? That I do not know. Do you get a lot of orders that are not from Maplewood? About 2 years ago, we used to get them from all over the country. They had an article in one of the papers, and the Associated Press ran a copy of it, put it on the wire. So we started getting calls from Texas, California, Idaho. Of all the typewriters you have, which do you think are the most historically important? Well, the 1888 Remington is one, and the other one is a Blickensderfer. It led to the IBM Selectric, which revolutionized the typewriter business. Like, you heard that other woman who came in? She said when she worked at a doctor's office, she had a Selectric, and she loved it. The reason why she loved it is that, compared to the manuals and other electrics, the carriage doesn't move. The ball moves inside, so you didn't have to worry about sitting on the desk, hitting the return key, and, say, knocking over your coffee. And the touch. I still love it. They made the early models from about 1972 to 1975. The last Selectrics, the 3s, were made into the late 80s. They weren't perfect. They don't like cold weather, for example. So if a secretary worked close to the window, when she'd go home at night, the cold air would get inside the machine, and the next morning, the typewriter wouldn't start. We had to explain to customers that the Selectric doesn't have motor brushes, so there's nothing to get it started if it gets too cold. It has a centripetal clutch that starts building momentum before working. It sounds more complicated than a manual. Why did people move over to the electric typewriters? The manuals are great and have a decent touch, but they still take some finger strength. The Selectric's very light, isn't it? And the girls could really go on it. Do you plan to stay in business for a long time? No. You said that almost instantly. I don't have a lot of years left in me. That's the answer to that one. I don't know how long I'm going to be alive. Time is catching up with me. Where will people get their typewriters fixed? Well, that's what we're looking for. Someone to take over.